October 23rd, 1983. 6:22 in the morning, Beirut, Lebanon. I remember the smell of diesel fuel mixed with salt air from the Mediterranean. I remember the sound of seagulls crying over the barracks. I remember golden sunlight slanting through the window of the medical bay, catching dust particles in the air like they were suspended in amber. I remember thinking it was going to be a beautiful day. Then the world exploded. The sound came first. Not a bang, not like in the movies. It was deeper than that. A crack in the fabric of reality itself. The kind of sound that doesn't just hit your ears but punches through your chest and rewrites every cell in your body with one simple message: you are going to die. The building folded in on itself like a house of cards. 4 stories of reinforced concrete steel beams and 241 sleeping Marines compressed into rubble in less than 3 seconds. I was thrown 15 feet across the medical bay. My body slammed into a supply cabinet. Metal shelves collapsed on top of me. Bottles of saline solution shattered against my face. Then silence. Not real silence. The kind that comes after your eardrums rupture. A high-pitched whine that sounds like the universe screaming. Through that whine, I could hear other sounds. Distant, underwater. Men shouting, someone crying, the groan of settling concrete, the hiss of broken gas lines. I tried to move, couldn't. Something heavy pinned my legs. I looked down and saw a ceiling beam across my thighs, blood pooling around my left hip. I didn't feel pain yet. Shock does that. Your body knows it's broken, but your brain hasn't caught up to the bill. I was 28 years old, Captain Reese Calloway, combat medic, 8 years in the Corps, 3 deployments. I'd treated gunshot wounds in the field, performed emergency surgery in the back of moving trucks, held dying men's hands while they called for their mothers. But I'd never been the one trapped. I anchored myself to something measurable. That's what they teach you in medical training. When everything goes to hell, find something concrete, something you can control, your pulse, your breathing, the rhythm of your heart, 60 beats per minute, 70, 80. The shock was wearing off. The pain arrived like a freight train. My left hip felt like someone had driven a railroad spike through the bone. I looked down again and saw it clearly now. A piece of shrapnel, maybe 6 inches long. Jagged metal protruding from my pelvis just above the hip socket. I knew what that meant. Severed nerves, possible femoral artery damage. If the artery was nicked, I had maybe 20 minutes before I bled out internally. I did the math. 20 minutes. 1,200 seconds, 1,200 decisions about whether I wanted to live or die. Then I heard the voice. Help! Someone help me! Male, young, scared, coming from somewhere to my left, buried under what sounded like at least 3 feet of rubble. I turned my head. Every movement sent lightning bolts of agony through my hip. I could see a gap in the debris, maybe 18 inches wide. A tunnel of broken concrete and twisted rebar leading down into darkness. Help me, please. The voice again. Closer than I thought, maybe 10 feet away. I made a decision. I didn't make it consciously. My body just started moving. I grabbed the ceiling beam pinning my legs and pulled. It shifted maybe half an inch. Not enough. I braced my shoulders against the floor and pushed with my right leg. The beam moved another inch. Then another. The shrapnel in my hip ground against bone. I tasted copper, bit through my lower lip to keep from screaming, pushed harder. The beam rolled off my legs. I lay there for maybe 30 seconds, breathing, waiting for the wave of agony to crest and break. When it finally did, I assessed the damage. Right leg functional. Left leg compromised but mobile. Hip catastrophically injured but not immediately fatal. Good enough. I crawled toward the voice. The gap in the rubble was barely wide enough for my shoulders. I had to exhale completely to squeeze through. Concrete scraped the skin off my arms. Rebar caught my uniform and tore fabric and flesh. Every inch forward felt like pushing through broken glass. I'm coming, I said. My voice sounded strange, flat, like I was hearing myself through a wall. Keep talking. I need to follow your voice. I can't move, the voice said. Something's on my chest. I can't breathe. What's your name, Marine? Hardwick, Private Dalton Hardwick. How old are you, Dalton? 19, ma'am. 19. Jesus, he was barely out of high school. Listen to me, Dalton. I'm Captain Calloway. I'm a medic. I'm going to get you out of there, but I need you to stay calm. Can you do that? Yes, ma'am. Good. Keep talking. Tell me where you're from. Georgia, ma'am. Savannah. I crawled deeper into the debris field. The gap narrowed. I had to turn sideways army crawling on my right side to protect the shrapnel in my left hip. Blood slicked the concrete beneath me. I didn't know if it was mine or someone else's. Tell me about Savannah, Dalton. It's hot, ma'am. Hotter than here. We got humidity that'll drown you just walking to your car. Family there. My dad, Senator Gerald Hardwick. He's the reason I joined up. Wanted to serve like he did. I filed that information away. Senator's kid. That explained the soft hands I'd noticed when I'd checked his medical file 2 weeks ago. This was probably his first real deployment. First time away from air conditioning and private schools and whatever safety net came with having a father in Congress. I found him 8 feet into the tunnel. A concrete slab lay across his chest. His face was pale, lips going blue, shallow breathing. Classic signs of tension pneumothorax. His lung was probably collapsed. Maybe both lungs. The weight on his chest was preventing his diaphragm from expanding. Found you, I said. His eyes focused on me. Young eyes. Terrified. He couldn't have weighed more than 160 soaking wet. Just a kid playing soldier. Am I going to die, ma'am? I looked at the concrete slab. Had to weigh at least 300 pounds. I couldn't lift it. Not with my hip destroyed. Not in this confined space. Not without equipment. Not today, Marine. I assessed the situation. The slab was balanced on a piece of rebar on one side and a chunk of wall on the other. If I could shift the rebar, maybe create a fulcrum, I could lever the slab up enough for him to breathe. I found a piece of pipe, maybe 2 feet long, wedged it under the rebar, used my body weight as leverage. The slab shifted. Half an inch, enough. Dalton gasped, air rushing into collapsed lungs. The sound was wet. Probably blood in there, but he was breathing. That was something. Better? I asked. Yes, ma'am. His voice was stronger, color returning to his face. I couldn't move the slab completely, not without causing a collapse that would kill us both. So I stayed there, holding the pipe, keeping pressure on the lever. My hip screamed. Blood ran down my leg. I ignored it. How long until rescue, ma'am? I did the math. The barracks had been hit at 6:22 a.m. It was probably close to 7 now. Response time for this kind of disaster in a foreign country in an active war zone. Days, maybe longer. Soon, I lied. Just stay with me, Dalton. I'm scared. I know, me too. We stayed like that. Me holding the pipe, him breathing, both of us bleeding, both of us trying not to think about the fact that we were buried under tons of rubble with no guarantee anyone even knew we were alive. That's when I heard the second voice. Is someone there? Male, older than Dalton, coming from deeper in the debris field. I'm here, I called out. Captain Calloway, combat medic, who are you? Sergeant Garrison, Flint Garrison. I'm pinned under something. Can't see. Think my leg's broken. I looked at Dalton, looked at the pipe in my hands. If I let go, the slab would crush him again. If I stayed, Sergeant Garrison might die. Dalton, I said, I need you to hold this pipe. Ma'am, I'm going to guide your hands. You're going to keep pressure on it, just like I'm doing. Can you do that? I think so. Not good enough. Can you do it? Yes, ma'am. I positioned his hands on the pipe. Small hands, shaking, but determined. You let go, you die, understand. Yes, ma'am. I released the pipe, watched to make sure he maintained pressure. He did. Good kid. I crawled deeper into the darkness, found Sergeant Garrison 12 feet further in. He was right. His leg was broken, compound fracture, tibia sticking through the skin. A steel filing cabinet had fallen across his thighs, but he was conscious, alert, probably mid-30s, hard face, harder eyes, the kind of Marine who'd seen real combat. How bad? He asked. You'll live, but that leg needs setting or you'll lose it. Then set it. I didn't have splints, didn't have proper bandages, didn't have anesthetic. I used what I had. Tore strips from my uniform, found 2 pieces of rebar, made a field splint, set the bone by feel in near total darkness. Garrison didn't scream, just bit down on his own belt and breathed through his nose. When I finished, his face was gray with shock, but his eyes were clear. "Thank you, ma'am." "Don't thank me yet. We're not out." That's when I heard the 3rd voice, then the 4th, then the 5th. They were everywhere, trapped in pockets of air throughout the rubble. Some hurt bad, some not so bad, all scared, all waiting, all wondering if anyone was coming. I made another decision. I was going to find every single one of them. 73 hours. That's how long it took rescue teams to dig us out. 4,380 minutes. I spent every one of those minutes crawling through the debris, finding survivors, treating injuries, distributing water I collected from broken pipes, holding hands, telling lies about how rescue was coming soon, keeping people alive. I found 73 of them, a lance corporal with a piece of glass in his neck. I removed it, applied pressure with torn fabric, kept him from bleeding out for 62 hours straight, a Navy corpsman with a crushed pelvis. I gave him my pain medication, all of it, stayed with him through the worst of it, talked him through waves of agony that would have broken most men. A staff sergeant with both legs trapped under a concrete pillar. I couldn't free him. So I held his hand for 6 hours straight while he told me about his daughter, 3 years old, named Emma, liked butterflies. He made me promise to tell her he loved her if he didn't make it. He made it. I amputated a Marine's hand with a piece of broken glass and a prayer. Gangrene had already set in. It was the hand or his life. He was 22 years old. He cried. I didn't. Someone had to stay strong. I performed a field tracheotomy on a private whose throat was swelling shut from smoke inhalation. Used a ballpoint pen and a knife. He lived. Sent me a Christmas card every year for 15 years after. Then the card stopped. I don't know if he died or just forgot. I hope he forgot. I gave my blood, literally. Found a Navy corpsman who knew how to do field transfusions. We had no equipment. Used plastic tubing from medical supply kits. Connected my vein to Sergeant Garrison's vein. Gave him 250 milliliters. Almost passed out. Did it anyway. He needed it more than I did. By hour 48, I couldn't feel my left leg anymore. The shrapnel had destroyed the nerve. My hip was infected. I could smell it, sweet and rotten. But I kept moving, kept crawling, kept finding people. By hour 60, I was hallucinating. Seeing my mother. She'd been dead for 5 years. She told me to rest. I told her I couldn't. Not yet. Not while there were still people breathing under this concrete. She smiled and faded away. I kept crawling. By hour 72, I'd stopped tracking my own condition. Started tracking theirs. 73 sets of lungs breathing. 73 hearts beating. 73 reasons to keep moving. When the rescue teams finally broke through, I was with Dalton, still holding that damn pipe. My hands had locked around it, rigor mortis, while I was still alive. They had to pry my fingers open one by one. It took 3 medics and 4 minutes. The sunlight hit me like a physical blow. I'd been in darkness for 3 days. My eyes couldn't process it. I saw shapes, heard voices, felt hands lifting me. "Can you walk, ma'am?" I tried. Collapsed. My left leg buckled. The shrapnel had done its work, severed the sciatic nerve, destroyed the hip joint. I'd never walk right again. A medic knelt beside me, younger than me, cleaner than me. He looked at my hip and his face went white. "Jesus Christ, how are you still conscious, E73?" I said. "Ma'am." "I found 73. Get them out first." "Ma'am, you need surgery right now or you'll lose the leg." I said get them out first. They did, all 73, loaded them onto helicopters, flew them to field hospitals, saved every single one. They came for me last. The doctors said I'd never walk again, said the nerve damage was too extensive, said I should be grateful to be alive, said I should accept that my body was broken beyond repair. I told them to watch me, 3 months of physical therapy, every day feeling like Beirut all over again. Pain that made me wish they'd just amputated the whole leg. 6 months of learning to compensate for a dead nerve, learning to walk with a limp that would mark me for life. A year of pain so intense I sometimes wished they'd just let me die under that rubble. But I walked with a limp, walked with a cane, walked with chronic pain that felt like broken glass grinding in my hip socket every single step. But I walked. They gave me a medical discharge, honorable, full benefits, a handshake and a thank you for your service, a folder full of papers that said I was no longer useful to the United States Marine Corps. They didn't give me a medal, didn't give me recognition. The operation was classified, the details were classified, my role was classified. Everything about Beirut was buried under layers of secrecy and bureaucratic red tape. I became a footnote in a classified file in a basement somewhere in Langley. I went home to North Carolina, got a job at a VA hospital, started in administration, pushing papers, answering phones. But standing all day was torture on my hip. So I transferred to cafeteria services. Easier on the hip, less standing, less explaining why a woman in her 40s walked like she was 80. I served coffee, made sandwiches, listened to veterans tell their stories, kept my own story locked away in the place where I kept all the things that hurt too much to examine. 41 years. That's how long I stayed silent. 41 years later, 2024. The cafeteria at the North Carolina Matador. A hospital smells like industrial disinfectant and reheated meatloaf. I've worked here for 23 years. Long enough that the smell doesn't register anymore. Long enough that I've become part of the furniture. Invisible. That's fine by me. Invisible is safe. I arrive at 5:45 a.m. every morning, 15 minutes early. Old habits. The Marine Corps drilled punctuality into my bones like they drilled marksmanship and chain of command. I unlock the cafeteria, turn on the lights, start the coffee. The big industrial machine that makes 20 gallons at a time. It gurgles and hisses like it's dying, but it works. That's all that matters. By 6:15, the first veterans start arriving. Breakfast service starts at 6:30, but they come early. Creatures of habit. Most of them are my age or older. Vietnam vets mostly. Some from the first Gulf War. A few young ones from Iraq and Afghanistan. All of them damaged in ways that don't always show on the outside. I know most of them by name. Know their orders without asking. Oatmeal no sugar for Henderson, black coffee and toast for Williams, scrambled eggs extra salt for Martinez. They see an old woman with gray hair pulled back in a bun, 69 years old, 5'6", maybe 130 soaking wet, walking with a wooden cane that's worn smooth from decades of use, moving slow, careful, like every step hurts. Because it does. They don't see the scars under my uniform, don't see the shrapnel still embedded in my hip. Doctors said it was too close to the bone to remove. Safer to leave it. So I've carried a piece of Beirut inside my body for 41 years. A souvenir I never asked for. They don't know my name used to be followed by Captain. Don't know I used to run 5 miles every morning before breakfast. Don't know I used to be strong enough to carry a 200-pound Marine in full gear across 100 yards of open ground under fire. They just see the lady who pours their coffee. That's fine. I stopped needing to be seen a long time ago. The TV in the corner is always on, tuned to cable news. Mostly the veterans ignore it. Background noise, the same talking heads, saying the same things in different words. But this morning, something makes me look up. A face fills the screen. Male, early 60s, silver hair, expensive suit, confident smile. The kind of smile that comes from never having been told no. Never having faced real consequences for anything. The chyron reads, Colonel Dalton Hardwick nominated for Secretary of Defense. My hand freezes halfway to the coffee pot. I know that face. Older. Harder. The baby fat gone. Replaced by sharp angles and cold calculation. But the eyes are the same. Young eyes. Terrified eyes. The eyes of a 19-year-old kid who thought he was going to die under tons of rubble. The news anchor is talking. I force myself to listen through the ringing in my ears. Colonel Hardwick, a decorated veteran and successful defense contractor, has been nominated by the President to serve as Secretary of Defense. If confirmed, he will be the youngest person to hold the position in 30 years. Colonel Hardwick's military career began in 1983 when he survived the Beirut barracks bombing as a young private. He went on to serve with distinction in multiple conflicts. The anchor keeps talking, but I don't hear it anymore. I'm back in the darkness, holding that pipe, watching a scared kid struggle to breathe, telling him he was going to live, promising him, "You're going to live, son." I said that. I promised him that. And I kept that promise. Held that pipe for 73 hours, destroyed my hip to save his life, gave him a future. And he doesn't remember. I know he doesn't, because 3 years ago he came to this hospital, some photo op, shaking hands with veterans, smiling for cameras. He walked right past me, looked through me like I was invisible, like I was part of the furniture. No recognition, no memory, no acknowledgement of the woman who gave him his life back. I didn't say anything. What would I say? I saved your life 41 years ago, and all I got was this cafeteria uniform and a limp. No, I stayed quiet, poured coffee, kept my head down, swallowed the anger and the hurt and the bitter knowledge that heroes only exist in movies. But something is different now. Something makes my skin prickle. An old instinct. The same instinct that kept me alive in Beirut when I should have died a dozen times over. The news segment continues. They show footage of Hardwick at a press conference. Someone asks about his father. Senator Gerald Hardwick was a patriot, Dalton says, his voice smooth and practiced. He gave his life in service to this country. I'm honored to follow in his footsteps. My hand tightens on the coffee pot. The plastic handle creaks under the pressure. Gerald Hardwick, the senator, Dalton's father. I remember him too. I remember seeing him 2 nights before the bombing, October 21st, 1983. I was on night shift in the medical bay, couldn't sleep. The pain in my hip was already starting. Old injury from a training accident that never healed quite right. It would get worse in Beirut. Much worse. I heard voices, argument, coming from the intel office down the hall. I shouldn't have listened, should have minded my own business. But I was bored, restless. The kind of restless you get when you're 28 and stationed in a war zone and trying not to think about all the ways you might die. So I walked closer. The door was cracked open maybe 2 inches, enough to see through if you stood at the right angle. Senator Hardwick was there. I recognized him from photos. Tall man, distinguished, silver hair even back then. The kind of man who looked important even in casual clothes. He was talking to someone I didn't recognize. Dark hair, civilian clothes. Something about the way he stood seemed wrong, foreign. They were speaking quietly, but I caught fragments. Route changes. Tomorrow at 0600. Insurance for both of us. I saw Senator Hardwick hand over an envelope, thick. The other man tucked it inside his jacket. Then they shook hands. The stranger left through a side door. The senator stood there for a moment looking at something on the desk. Then he left too. I should have reported it. Should have told someone. But told them what? That I saw a senator talking to someone could have been anything. Could have been innocent. Could have been legitimate government business that wasn't my concern. So I went back to the medical bay. Tried to forget about it. Tried to sleep. Then 6:22 a.m. happened. And I had bigger problems than a mysterious meeting. But after they pulled me out, after the surgery, after I started being able to think again instead of just surviving, I remembered, and I started asking questions. Found out that the truck bomb had entered the compound through a route that should have been blocked, that guard rotations had been changed at the last minute, that security protocols had been altered in the 48 hours before the attack, that someone had provided detailed intelligence about building layout and security procedures. Found out that the investigation went nowhere, got classified, buried under national security concerns and diplomatic complications. Found out that Senator Gerald Hardwick died in 2005. Heart attack, peaceful, in his sleep, no charges, no questions, no investigation, just a state funeral and a bridge named after him in his home state. But I also found something else. When they were clearing debris in the medical bay, they found a document, classified. Someone had dropped it in the chaos before the blast. It had my blood on it, literally. Must have landed near me when the building collapsed. Or maybe it was in the supply cabinet that fell on me. I'll never know. A Navy corpsman found it stuck to my uniform when they were cutting my clothes off in surgery. He was going to throw it away with the bloody fabric. Standard procedure, destroy anything classified. I told him to give it to me. I told him I was a captain and I was ordering him to hand it over. He did. It was a security briefing. Detailed layout of the barracks, guard rotations, weak points in the perimeter, vehicle checkpoints. Exactly the kind of information someone would need to plan a devastating attack. And it had fingerprints on it, clear ones. The corners where someone had held the paper while reading it. I kept it, hid it in my personal effects, for 41 years, because I knew whose fingerprints they were. I'd seen those hands, shaking hands with a man with dark hair, handing over an envelope, Senator Gerald Hardwick's fingerprints, on a document that got 241 Marines killed. But I was 28 years old, a captain, a medic, no one important. And he was a United States Senator, powerful, connected, protected. Who would believe me? So I waited, and stayed invisible, and told myself that maybe I was wrong. Maybe I saw something that wasn't there. Maybe the fingerprints belonged to someone else. Maybe the meeting was innocent, until now. I look at the TV screen, at Dalton Hardwick's confident smile, at the chyron announcing his nomination. Secretary of Defense, the man who would control the entire military apparatus of the United States. A man whose father sold intelligence that killed 241 Marines. A man I saved. My phone is in my pocket. I pull it out with hands that are shaking for the first time in years. Dial a number I haven't called in 2 years. It rings 4 times. Then a gruff voice answers. Yeah, Flint, it's Raven. Silence, long enough that I think he hung up. Then his voice comes back cracked and emotional. Raven, he says it like a prayer, like a benediction. Jesus, it's been too long. I know, I'm sorry. I need to ask you something. Anything, you know that. You still have connections. People who can run forensics off the books. Another pause, longer this time. I can hear him breathing, thinking, calculating what this might mean. What kind of forensics? Documents, fingerprints, chain of custody that'll hold up in court. Raven, what's going on? I look at the TV screen, at Dalton Hardwick, at the son of the man who killed my Marines. I'm done being invisible. We arranged to meet, tonight, at Flint's house, 2 hours outside of Charlotte, far enough from prying eyes, far enough that no one will see 2 old soldiers digging up ghosts. I finish my shift, pour coffee, make sandwiches, smile at veterans, stay invisible for a few more hours. But inside something has shifted, a gear engaging after 41 years of being stuck in neutral, a decision made, a line crossed. At 3 p.m. I clock out, walk to my car, a 2006 Honda Civic with 200,000 miles on it. It's older than some of the privates currently serving. The paint is faded, the radio doesn't work, but it runs. That's all that matters. The drive to Flint's house takes 2 hours and 17 minutes. I know because I measure the passage of time in familiar ways. Miles traveled, minutes passed. The cost of staying silent for 41 years finally coming due. Flint lives in a small house at the end of a dirt road, single story, needs paint. The kind of place a retired sergeant major can afford on a military pension. But it's clean, maintained, the yard is mowed, the flag is properly displayed. He's waiting on the porch when I pull up. 71 years old now, still built like a fire hydrant, shoulders like a linebacker, but moving slower, careful. His left leg drags a little, the one I set with rebar and torn uniform fabric under tons of concrete. He limps down the steps. I get out of the car, stand there. 2 old soldiers looking at each other across 41 years, seeing ghosts, seeing scars, seeing survival. You look like hell, Raven. You look worse. We both smile. Then he pulls me into a hug, careful, mindful of my hip, of his leg, of all the ways Beirut still lives in our bodies like shrapnel we can't remove. "Come inside," he says. I made coffee. His kitchen is small, clean, military neat, everything in its place. On the refrigerator photos, his son, Wyatt, different ages, baby pictures, graduation, military academy, dress blues, a life built on the foundation of survival. "How's Wyatt?" I ask. Flint's face darkens, the smile fades, his jaw tightens. "That's why I was going to call you." "What happened?" "He's in Afghanistan, captain now, leading a convoy security unit. Good work, clean record. Then 2 weeks ago he gets notified he's under investigation." "For what?" "War crimes, civilian casualties. They're saying his unit fired on a village, killed women and children." I set down my coffee. The ceramic mug makes a sharp sound against the table. "Did he?" "No." Flint's voice is iron, absolute certainty. "I know my son. I know what he's capable of. This is a setup." "How do you know?" "Because Dalton Hardwick's company provides security contracts in that region. And 2 days before Wyatt was charged, he refused to sign off on a supply requisition that would have funneled millions to Hardwick's company, called it wasteful spending, filed a report with his CO. I feel ice water in my veins, the pieces clicking into place. Hardwick is retaliating. That's what I think, but I can't prove it. And Wyatt's career is over unless someone stops this. They're talking about Leavenworth Raven, 20 years, for something he didn't do. I pull out my phone, show Flint the photo I took of the news broadcast earlier. Dalton Hardwick's face, that confident smile. I'm going to stop it. Flint studies me, really looks at me, seeing something he hasn't seen in years. Fire, purpose, the woman I used to be before I became invisible. How? I reach into my bag, pull out a folder, inside a plastic sleeve, inside that yellowed paper. 41 years old, stained with blood, my blood, still carrying the fingerprints of a traitor. With this, I lay the document on the table. Flint leans in, reads, his face goes pale, then red, then pale again. "Is this?" "Security briefing, October 1983, showing exact layout of the Beirut barracks, guard rotations, weak points, everything someone would need to plan the bombing." "Where did you get this?" "It was stuck to my uniform when they pulled me out. Someone dropped it. I kept it." "Why?" "Because it has fingerprints, and I knew whose they were." Flint looks up at me, understanding dawning like a terrible sunrise. "Senator Hardwick. Gerald Hardwick, Dalton's father. You've had this for 41 years. I was scared. I was nobody. He was a senator. Who would believe me? You should have come forward." "I know, but I didn't. And now his son is about to become Secretary of Defense. And your son is being destroyed, and I'm done being scared." Flint sits back, processing. I can see him running the calculations, the risks, the possibilities, the cost. "What do you need from me?" "I need someone who can verify these fingerprints. Someone who can establish chain of custody. Someone who can make this evidence admissible in a court of law." "I know someone, Dr. Lenore Thatcher, does forensic document analysis, former FBI, retired now, but she still takes private cases. She's solid, trustworthy, absolutely discreet. Can you call her tonight?" We sit in silence for a moment. 2 old soldiers, 2 damaged bodies, 2 people who've carried Beirut inside them for 41 years, finally doing something about it. "Raven," Flint says quietly. "Why now? Why come forward now after all this time?" I look at the photo of Wyatt on the refrigerator, young face, earnest eyes, wearing the uniform with pride, just like his father did, just like I did. Because I'm done watching good people get destroyed by bad ones. Because I saved 73 lives in Beirut, and I'll be damned if I let one of them ruin another generation. "You saved my life." "I know. If you do this, they'll come after you. Hardwick has money, power, connections." "I know that too." "They might kill you." I smile. It's not a happy smile. "Flint, I should have died 41 years ago. Everything since then has been borrowed time. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of staying silent while that man takes power." Flint nods slowly. Then he stands, walks to a locked cabinet, opens it with a key he keeps on a chain around his neck, pulls out a file box. "I've been keeping records too," he says. "Everything I could find about the bombing. Declassified reports, news articles, financial records. I could never make sense of it, but maybe together." He sets the box on the table. We spend the next 3 hours going through it, building a timeline, cross-referencing dates, following money trails that disappear into shell corporations and offshore accounts. We find the first piece at 9:47 p.m., a bank record, declassified in 2020 under the Freedom of Information Act, a wire transfer, $2 million, from an Iranian intermediary account to a bank in the Cayman Islands. October 15, 1983, 8 days before the bombing. The receiving account was held by a shell corporation. We trace it through 3 layers of corporate structure. It takes 2 hours. My eyes are burning. My hip is screaming. But we find it. The ultimate beneficial owner of the shell corporation, Senator Gerald Hardwick. $2 million, 8 days before the bombing, from an Iranian source. "Blood money," Flint whispers. We keep digging. Find more. In 2005, after Senator Hardwick died, the account was transferred, not to charity, not to the government, to his son, Dalton Hardwick. The money became the seed capital for Hardwick Defense Solutions, Dalton's company, now worth billions. Government contracts worth hundreds of millions annually, built on blood money, built on the graves of 241 Marines. He knows, I say. Dalton knows what his father did. How can you be sure? Because he accepted the money, used it, built an empire with it. You don't do that unless you know where it came from. You don't take $2 million from your dead father without asking questions. Flint's hands clench into fists. What do we do? I pull out my laptop, open my email, create a new account, anonymous, untraceable, type carefully with arthritic fingers that don't move as fast as they used to Colonel Dalton Hardwick, from anonymous subject Beirut, October 23, 1983, 6:22 a.m. Body, I know what your father did. I have proof. 72 hours to withdraw your nomination. I hit send before I can second-guess myself. Now we wait, I say. We don't have to wait long. My phone rings at 11:34 p.m. Unknown number. I let it ring twice, 3 times. Then I answer. Yes. This is Colonel Hardwick. His voice is smooth, controlled, the voice of a man used to being in charge. I received an interesting email tonight. I thought you might. Who is this? Someone who was there. A pause. I can hear him breathing, thinking, trying to place my voice. There were 241 people there. Most of them are dead. I'm one of the ones who lived. Another pause, longer this time. What do you want a justice? For what? For 241 Marines who died because your father sold them out. That's a serious accusation and completely false. I have serious proof, such as classified document with your father's fingerprints, bank records showing $2 million from Iranian sources, chain of custody that will hold up in court, witnesses who saw things they shouldn't have seen. Silence. I can hear him breathing. Can imagine him sitting in his expensive house with his expensive things, realizing that his carefully constructed life might be about to collapse. You're bluffing. Try me. Who are you? 72 hours, Colonel. Withdraw or this goes public. All of it. I hang up. Flint is staring at me. You just threatened the next Secretary of Defense. I gave him a choice. He's not going to take it. I know. He's going to come after you. I know that too. Raven, you realize what you just started. I look at him. This man I saved 41 years ago. This man who became like a brother. This man whose son is being destroyed by the same evil that killed our friends. I started it 41 years ago when I kept that document. I'm just finishing it now. My phone buzzes. Text message, unknown number. I open it. A photo, recent, taken this afternoon. Me walking to my car in the VA hospital parking lot. Zoomed in, professional quality. Someone with expensive equipment and training. The message below it, "We know who you are." I show Flint. His face hardens. "They've already found you." That was fast. Hardwick has resources, private investigators, security firms, ex-military, ex-intelligence. They probably traced the email IP, cross-referenced it with hospital employee records, ran facial recognition on security cameras. Then they know I'm nobody, just an old woman who works in a cafeteria. Are you scared? I think about it. Genuinely consider the question. Am I scared? No, I say finally. I'm done being scared. I was scared for 41 years. I'm tired of it. Another text. Back off or face consequences. I type back, 71 hours, 23 minutes. Flint shakes his head. You're insane. Probably. You're also the bravest person I've ever known. I'm just tired, Flint, tired of carrying this. Tired of watching guilty people win. Tired of being invisible. Tired of letting evil men profit from the deaths of good ones. You were never invisible to the people you saved. Tell that to Dalton Hardwick. I stood 3 feet from him 3 years ago. He looked right through me, like I didn't exist, like I was furniture. Then let's make him see you. We work through the night, building the case, documenting everything, creating redundancies, making copies, digital and physical. Flint calls Dr. Thatcher. She agrees to meet us tomorrow, to verify the fingerprints, to establish chain of custody, to make this evidence ironclad. At 4 a.m., I leave Flint's house, drive home through darkness. My hip is screaming. I've been on it for 22 hours straight. I'm too old for this. My body keeps reminding me. But my mind is sharp, focused, clear for the first time in years. I get home at 6:17 a.m. My apartment is small, 1 bedroom, subsidized housing for veterans. The walls are thin. I can hear my neighbor's TV through the wall. Some morning talk show. Cheerful voices discussing things that don't matter. I should sleep, but I can't. The adrenaline is still pumping. The wheels are turning. The gears are engaged. So I stand at my kitchen window. The sky is turning purple at the edges. Dawn is coming. My body knows what's coming next. It always does. At 6:22 a.m., the blast will replay in my nervous system whether I'm ready or not. My phone rings. 6:22 a.m. Exactly. I know what time it is without looking. My body knows. Every year, every October 23rd, at exactly 6:22 a.m., I feel it. The blast, the collapse, the weight of concrete and rebar and dying men. But it's not October, it's June. I answer. Captain Calloway, a voice I don't recognize, male, young, nervous. My name is Agent Duncan Cole, CIA. I need to meet with you, today. It's about the email you sent. How did you get this number? Please, I'm not the enemy. I want to help. Why would the CIA want to help me? A pause. I can hear him choosing his words carefully. Because some of us have been trying to prove what Senator Hardwick did for 20 years. And you just handed us the key. I close my eyes. The wheel's turning faster now. This is bigger than I thought. Bigger than one corrupt senator. This goes deeper. Where and when? There's a diner, Route 40, south of Charlotte, called Millie's. Can you be there at noon? I can. Come alone, please. If Hardwick's people see me with you, we're both dead. He hangs up. I stare at my phone. The sun is fully up now. Golden light streaming through my window. Just like Beirut. I have 6 hours until noon. 6 hours to decide if I trust a CIA agent I've never met. 6 hours to decide if I'm really ready to finish this. I look at my wall. Photos. All 73 people I pulled from the rubble. I've kept track over the years. Christmas cards, emails, Facebook posts. Some have died, natural causes mostly. Heart attacks, cancer, the things that kill old soldiers when war doesn't. But 68 are still alive, still breathing, still living the lives I helped give them, because of me, and 241 aren't. Because of Senator Gerald Hardwick. I make my decision. At 11:30 a.m., I get in my car, drive to Millie's Diner. It's exactly what you'd expect. Faded sign, cracked parking lot, smell of grease and coffee. The kind of place that's been here for 50 years and will be here for 50 more. Agent Cole is waiting in a back booth. I recognize him immediately. Late 40s, fit, alert eyes that track every person in the diner, clean-shaven, suit that's seen better days, the look of a man who's been doing this job too long. He stands when I approach. "Captain Calloway." "Just Reese. I haven't been a captain in a long time." "Yes, you have. You just stopped using the rank." We sit. A waitress brings coffee without asking. I wrap my hands around the mug, let the heat soak into arthritic knuckles that ache in the morning. "Talk," I say. "Senator Gerald Hardwick sold intelligence to Hezbollah in 1983. We've suspected it for years, but we could never prove it. The evidence disappeared. Witnesses died. Files were classified or destroyed. He was too connected, too protected, too powerful. Why didn't you come forward? Because without proof, it's just conspiracy theory. And because people who accused Senator Hardwick of treason had a tendency to die in accidents, car crashes, home invasions, suicides, heart attacks in men who were perfectly healthy. Like who?" He slides a piece of paper across the table. 4 names. I read them. My blood runs cold. I saved all 4 of them. Corporal Jackson Reeves. I gave him my last morphine shot, held his hand through the worst of it, talked him through pain that would have broken most men. Lieutenant Maddox Green. I performed field surgery on his abdomen with a pocket knife and no anesthetic. He screamed for 3 hours. I didn't stop. He lived. Sergeant Rhett Donnelly. I found him after 60 hours, nearly dead from dehydration. I gave him water from my own mouth, spit by spit, until help arrived. Petty Officer Kane Whitmore. I carried him on my back through 50 feet of debris. He weighed 190. I weighed 120. I did it anyway, because leaving him wasn't an option. "They were murdered," I whisper. "We think so, but again, no proof, just patterns, coincidences, timing that's too perfect to be random. There's no such thing as coincidence." "No, there isn't." I look up at him. "Why are you helping me?" "Because I'm tired of watching guilty people win. Because I took an oath to protect this country from enemies foreign and domestic. And because Gerald Hardwick was a domestic enemy, a traitor who got 241 Americans killed for money. His son is continuing the work." Cole nods. "We believe Dalton Hardwick knows what his father did. We believe he's using the blood money to build power. And we believe if he becomes Secretary of Defense, he'll have access to intelligence that he can sell just like his father did. The cycle continues." "Then stop him." "We can't, not without evidence, not without proof that will survive legal scrutiny and public exposure." "I have proof." "The document, I know, but we need more. We need a pattern. We need to show that Dalton is actively continuing his father's crimes. We need him to make a mistake." "How?" Cole leans forward. "Let him come after you. Document everything, every threat, every attempt at intimidation. Build a case that shows he's willing to kill to protect his father's secret. You want to use me as bait. I want to give you a chance to finish what you started 41 years ago." I drink my coffee. It's terrible. Burnt, but it's hot. That's something. "What do you need from me?" "Keep pushing. Keep threatening to go public. Force his hand. We'll document everything. When he moves against you, we'll be watching, recording, building a case. And if he succeeds, if he actually kills me, then we'll have evidence of murder. And that combined with your document will be enough to stop him. Enough to bring him down." Comforting. "Captain Calloway, Reese, you survived 73 hours under rubble. You saved 73 people. You've carried this secret for 41 years. I think you can survive one more fight." He's right. I can. But the question isn't whether I can survive. It's whether I want to. I look at this CIA agent, this man who's probably seen and done terrible things in service of his country, this man who's asking me to risk everything. "If I do this," I say slowly, "if I let Hardwick come after me, if I survive, what happens then? Then we expose everything. The document, the bank records, the pattern of deaths, all of it. We bring down Dalton Hardwick, we clear the names of the Marines who died, we get justice. Justice, I taste the word. It's bitter, like burnt coffee. I stopped believing in justice a long time ago. Then believe in revenge. Believe in protecting the next generation. Believe in making sure that evil men don't win. I think about Wyatt, Flint's son, facing false charges, career destroyed, life ruined, just like his father almost was, just like I almost was. I think about 241 Marines who never got to go home, who never got to have children or grandchildren or futures. I think about 73 people I pulled from rubble, the ones who are still alive, still living, still grateful. All right, I say, I'm in. Cole slides an envelope across the table. Everything you need, secure phone, encrypted email, emergency contact numbers, memorize them, then destroy the paper. How very spy movie of you. This isn't a movie, this is life and death. Hardwick has already killed 4 people we know about. Probably more we don't. He won't hesitate to kill you. Good thing I've already died once. Second time should be easier. I take the envelope, stand to leave. Captain Calloway, I turn back. Thank you for your service. All of it, not just Beirut. This too. I don't know what to say to that. So I just nod, walk out into the parking lot, into the bright June sunshine, drive home. At 3 p.m. I'm back at work, back in the cafeteria, pouring coffee, making sandwiches, being invisible. But something has changed. I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not hiding. I'm not scared. I'm hunting. And at 5:47 p.m., the prey walks through my door. Dalton Hardwick, in person, flanked by 2 men in suits, security. They look military, competent, dangerous, the kind of men who know how to hurt people efficiently. He walks straight to my counter, doesn't recognize me. Of course not. I'm just the help. Just an old woman serving coffee to people who matter. Coffee, black. His voice is the same, but harder, colder. No trace of the scared 19-year-old who cried in the darkness. I pour the coffee. My hands are steady, rock steady. 41 years of waiting. 41 years of staying invisible, all leading to this moment. Anything else, sir? He looks at me for the first time, really looks. Studies my face, trying to place me, trying to figure out why something feels familiar. Have we met? I don't think so, sir. I'd remember. He frowns, uncertain. The security detail is tense, hands near weapons that I'm sure they're carrying under those suits. I hand him the coffee. Our fingers brush, just for a second. He doesn't feel it, doesn't recognize the touch of the hands that held him for 73 hours. The hands that kept him alive. The hands that gave him his future. Thank you, ma'am. He turns to leave. I speak quietly, just loud enough for him to hear, just loud enough to change everything. October 23rd, 1983, 6:22 a.m., Beirut, Lebanon. He freezes, mid-step, doesn't turn around. But I can see his shoulders tense, his spine stiffen. You're going to live, son, that's what I told you, in the darkness. While I held the pipe that kept you breathing, while I destroyed my body to save yours. Now he turns, slow, controlled, but I can see it in his eyes. Recognition, memory, fear. Who are you? I smile. It's not a kind smile. It's the smile of someone who's been waiting 41 years for this moment. I'm Captain Reese Calloway, combat medic. I saved your life, and 72 others, while 241 died because your father sold them out. The security detail moves, hands on weapons. But Hardwick holds up a hand, stops them. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, you do. 71 hours remaining, Colonel. Withdraw or I release everything. The document, the bank records, all of it. You're making a mistake. The only mistake I made was saving you. He stares at me. This man I saved. This man whose father killed my Marines. This man who built an empire on blood money. You can't prove anything. Try me. He leans in close. Close enough that I can smell his cologne. Expensive. Everything about him screams money and power and untouchability. I remember you, he whispers. The medic. You were there, in the dark. Yes. You saved me. Yes. Then you're making this very difficult. I'd prefer not to kill the woman who saved my life. But you will anyway. If I have to. Then come try. I survived worse than you. He straightens, steps back. The mask is back in place, confident, controlled, the face of a man who's used to winning. You have no idea what you've started. I have every idea. 71 hours, Colonel. I'll be counting. He leaves. The security detail follows. One of them looks back at me, memorizing my face, making plans. I watch them go, then I go back to work, pour more coffee, serve more veterans. But everything has changed. The hunt has begun. The phone call comes at 2:47 a.m. I'm not asleep. Haven't really slept since Beirut. Not deeply, anyway. Just that shallow rest where your body shuts down, but your mind keeps running, counting, calculating, listening for sounds that shouldn't be there. Tonight, I'm listening for footsteps, watching the street outside my apartment window, waiting for black SUVs, waiting for men with guns. They don't come. Not yet. The phone buzzes. Not my regular phone. The secure one Agent Cole gave me. I answer on the second ring. Yeah. It's Flint. Dr. Thatcher can see us. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., her lab in Durham. I'll be there. Raven, you confronted him at the hospital. Word travels fast in the veteran community. Someone must have seen. Someone must have talked. Word travels fast. He called me, Hardwick, directly, 30 minutes ago. My pulse kicks up a notch. What did he say? He offered to drop all charges against Wyatt, full reinstatement, promotion, everything. If I convince you to back off. I close my eyes, feel the weight of it. Flint's son, his only child. Career on the line, future destroyed. And all Flint has to do is ask me to stop. What did you tell him? I told him to go to hell. The tension in my chest releases. Flint, you didn't have to do that. Wyatt is your son. I would understand if... No. His voice is iron. Absolute. My son is a good man because I taught him to be. I taught him that some things matter more than career, more than comfort, more than safety. Justice matters, truth matters, standing up to evil matters. If I take that deal, I teach him that everything I raised him to believe is a lie. Hardwick won't stop. He'll destroy Wyatt. Then we'll fight, both of us, all of us. But we fight clean, we fight right. That's what being a Marine means. Semper Fi. Always faithful, to the core, to each other, to the truth. We hang up. I sit in the darkness, think about Flint, about the kind of man who turns down the safety of his child to do what's right, about the kind of father who teaches by example, even when it costs everything. I think about the fathers who didn't make it home from Beirut, the ones who never got to teach their children anything except that life is fragile and evil is real. I think about Senator Gerald Hardwick, about the kind of father who sells out his brothers for money, who teaches his son that power and wealth matter more than honor. Different men, different lessons, different legacies. At 3:15 a.m., my regular phone buzzes. Text message, unknown number. Corporal Jackson Reeves, Lieutenant Maddox Green, Sergeant Rhett Donnelly, Petty Officer Kane Whitmore, you're next. 4 names, 4 men I saved, 4 men who died because they knew too much. I text back, I've been next for 41 years, still here. The response comes immediately. Not for long. I screenshot the conversation, send it to Agent Cole on the secure phone. His reply comes fast. Good. Let him threaten you. Every message is evidence. Comforting. Truth isn't comfortable, but it's all we have. I don't sleep, just sit at my window. Darkness gives way to gray, then pink, then gold. 14,965 mornings since Beirut. Give or take. Each one a gift I didn't earn. Each one borrowed time I'm finally using. At 6:22 a.m., my body remembers. The blast, the weight, the darkness. It always does, every morning at exactly this time. My hip throbs, phantom pain from shrapnel that's still there, from nerves that died 41 years ago, but somehow still scream. I take my pills, 4 of them, pain management, not enough to stop it, just enough to make it bearable. The doctors offered stronger stuff. Opioids. I said no. I've seen too many veterans lose themselves to pills that promise relief but deliver addiction and death. Better to live with pain than to lose yourself running from it. At 7:30 a.m., I call in sick to work. First time in 3 years. The supervisor sounds surprised. You okay, Reese? Just need a personal day. Take care of yourself. If she only knew. I drive to Durham, 73 miles. The highway is mostly empty this early, just long-haul truckers and people heading to jobs they hate. I count the miles, old habit, measuring distance, measuring time, measuring the cost of staying silent for 41 years. Dr. Lenore Thatcher's lab is in a nondescript office building near Duke University. 3rd floor, Suite 304, the kind of place you'd walk past without noticing. Perfect for the kind of work she does. Flint is waiting in the lobby. He looks tired, older. This thing is taking its toll on both of us, but his eyes are clear, determined. You ready, sir? He asks. Been ready for 41 years. We take the elevator up. Dr. Thatcher answers the door herself. Early 50s, sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses, gray hair pulled back in a no-nonsense bun. She reminds me of the women I served with, competent, professional. No time for bullshit. Captain Calloway, Sergeant Major Garrison, come in. Her lab is exactly what I expected. Clean, organized, equipment I don't recognize, but looks expensive and scientific. Microscopes, cameras, computers, the tools of truth. She gestures to a metal examination table. Let's see what you have. I pull out the document, still in its plastic sleeve, still stained with 41-year-old blood. My blood. Still carrying the fingerprints of a traitor. Dr. Thatcher handles it with gloved hands. Careful. Reverent, almost. She knows what she's looking at, not just paper, history, evidence, the key to everything. She places it under a specialized light, examines it through a magnifying lens, takes photographs from multiple angles, makes notes on a tablet. Tell me the chain of custody, she says without looking up. I tell her, everything. Found stuck to my uniform, given to me by a Navy corpsman, kept in my possession for 41 years, never shared. Never exposed to contamination, stored in a safety deposit box in a climate-controlled environment. Witnesses to you obtaining it. The corpsman, dead now, car accident, 2007. She looks up at that. Accident. That's what the report said. She returns to the document. Her face is neutral, professional, but I can see something in her eyes, recognition of what this means. I'll need time, full analysis, fingerprint verification, age authentication, ink composition, paper stock. If this is what you say it is, we need to make it bulletproof. Every test, every standard, every possible challenge anticipated and answered. How long? 72 hours minimum. This is 41-year-old evidence. I need to be absolutely certain. I check my watch. We have 68 hours until Hardwick's deadline. Then I better get started. She disappears into a back room with the document. Flint and I wait. 45 minutes of silence. Just the sound of our breathing. The tick of a wall clock. The hum of equipment. 2 old soldiers waiting to see if the truth can be proven. Dr. Thatcher returns. Her face is pale. It's real, she says quietly. 1983 paper stock. CIA issued. The fingerprints are clear. 7 distinct prints. I'll need to run them through the database for official confirmation, but based on the formation and ridge patterns, they're consistent with adult male hands. Large hands, probably late 50s, early 60s. Senator Hardwick was 62 in 1983, Flint says. Then these are likely his, but I need to verify against known samples. Do you have access to any official fingerprints from Senator Hardwick? I pull out my phone, show her the file Agent Cole sent me. FBI background check from when Hardwick was appointed to the Senate Armed Services Committee includes full fingerprint records. Dr. Thatcher downloads the file, pulls it up on her computer, compares it to the prints on the document. The room is silent except for the clicking of keys, the soft hum of the computer. 10 minutes of analysis, running algorithms I don't understand, comparing ridge patterns and whorl formations. Then she turns to us. It's a match, 7 points of comparison. That's more than enough for legal admissibility. Most courts require only 5. These are absolutely Senator Gerald Hardwick's fingerprints on a classified document detailing security vulnerabilities at the Beirut barracks. The room tilts slightly. 41 years of wondering, 41 years of second-guessing myself, 41 years of thinking maybe I was wrong, maybe I saw something that wasn't there, maybe I was crazy, but I wasn't wrong. It was real, all of it. Can you testify to this? I ask. In court, in Congress, wherever this ends up. Yes, I'll prepare a full forensic report, detailed analysis, chain of custody documentation, everything needed to survive legal scrutiny and expert challenge. How fast can you have it ready? She checks her watch. If I work through the night, 48 hours. Do it. She nods. All business. There's something else. The blood on the document. I assume it's yours. Yes. I can verify that too. DNA analysis. Prove that you were in physical contact with this document at the time it was bloodied. Establishes that you acquired it during or immediately after the bombing, not later. Eliminates any question of fabrication. How long for DNA? 72 hours, but I have connections. I can rush it. Might cost extra. I don't care about cost. Then I'll have preliminary results in 48 hours, full report in 72. We leave the lab at 11:34 a.m. Stand in the parking lot. 2 old soldiers who just proved that a United States senator committed treason. What now? Flint asks. Now we find the others. What others? The survivors, the ones who are still alive, the ones who might have seen something. We need to document everything before Hardwick can silence them. Flint pulls out his phone, opens a contact list he's maintained for decades. I've kept in touch with most of them over the years. Christmas cards, emails. The brotherhood doesn't end just because the war does. How many are still alive? From our 73-68, 5 dead, the 4 we know were murdered, and 1 natural causes. Heart attack, 2019, verified by 3 doctors. We need to contact the 68, warn them, ask if they saw anything, if they remember anything, if Hardwick has approached them. That's a lot of phone calls. Then we better start. We drive to Flint's house, spend the afternoon making calls. Some numbers are disconnected. Some have changed. Some people are dead and their families don't know to update the contact list. Some don't want to talk about Beirut. The memories are too painful. But we reach 43 of them. 43 voices from the past. 43 people who remember the darkness, the fear, the sound of my voice telling them to hold on, to stay alive, to keep breathing. Most don't remember anything useful, just fragments, pain, terror, the smell of concrete dust and diesel fuel, the sound of their own heartbeat in the darkness. But 3 of them remember something. The first is Gunnery Sergeant Boone Kavanaugh, retired now, living in Houston, 68 years old, voice rough from too many cigarettes and not enough water and a lifetime of carrying Beirut. Raven, Jesus, I never thought I'd hear from you. How you been, Boone? Still breathing, that's more than most. You? Same. Listen, I need to ask you something. About the days before the bombing, did you see anything unusual? Anyone who shouldn't have been there? Silence. Long enough that I think the connection dropped. Boone. I saw something. His voice is different now, careful, scared, like he's been waiting 41 years to tell someone, but afraid of what it might cost. Never told anyone because I thought I was crazy. Thought maybe I imagined it. PTSD, you know. The doc said I had it bad. Tell me. Night of October 21st. I was on perimeter patrol, late shift, maybe 2,200 hours. I saw Senator Hardwick. He was with someone. Not military. Civilian clothes, dark hair. They were talking near the motor pool. Thought it was weird, but senators do weird things sometimes. Above my pay grade. Did you hear what they said? Some of it. Hardwick handed the guy an envelope, thick one. The guy said something in a language I didn't recognize. Arabic maybe, or Farsi, something Middle Eastern. Then they separated. Hardwick went back to his quarters. The other guy left through the north gate. My pulse is hammering. Did you report it? To who Senator Hardwick was there on official business. He had clearance. I figured whatever he was doing was above my pay grade, not my business. Did anyone else see it? Corporal Reeves was with me. We talked about it. Agreed it was weird, but not our business. Figured it was diplomatic stuff, intelligence stuff, classified stuff we weren't supposed to know about. Corporal Jackson Reeves, dead in a car accident in 2005, 1 week after Senator Hardwick died. No witnesses, single vehicle collision, ruled an accident. Boone, listen to me carefully. Don't tell anyone else about this. Don't post about it online. Don't even tell your family. Reeves is dead. So are 3 others who might have known something. You think Hardwick killed them? I think his son might be continuing his father's work. Jesus Christ, Raven, I got grandkids. I know, so take precautions, vary your routine, watch for surveillance. If anything feels wrong, call the police and call me. What are you doing, Raven? What I should have done 41 years ago. I'm bringing him down. You're going after a man who's about to be Secretary of Defense. Yes, they'll kill you. They can try. We hang up. I make notes, document everything, every detail, every word, every inflection in his voice. The second call is to Navy Corpsman Hollis Bridger, retired, living in Tampa, 70 years old, voice shaky but mind sharp, sharper than most men half his age. Captain Calloway, ma'am, I never got to thank you properly for saving my life. You thanked me plenty, Hollis. I need your help now. Anything. The bombing, the days before. Did anyone change security protocols, guard rotations, anything unusual? Another long silence. Then, yes, the intel officer, not Senator Hardwick, different guy, lieutenant commander, can't remember his name, died in the blast. His office took a direct hit. What did he do? He came to medical 2 days before the bombing, said there were new security procedures, changed the guard rotation for the main entrance, moved the checkpoint back 50 yards, changed vehicle inspection protocols. Why? Said it was to create better sight lines, better defensive positioning. It made sense at the time. We were always updating procedures, improving security, learning from incidents at other bases. Did you question it? Lieutenant Green did. He was senior medical officer. Said it seemed odd to change protocols right before a high-level visit. The intel officer told him it came from the top, from Senator Hardwick's security detail. Said it was part of preparations for the senator's visit. Lieutenant Maddox Green, dead in 2012, ruled suicide, gunshot to the head, no note, no witnesses. Family said he wasn't depressed. Doctors said he was healthy, but the ruling stood. What happened to the intel officer? Died in the blast. His office took a direct hit. Nothing left but ash and blood. Convenient. Dead men tell no tales. Hollis, I need you to write this down, everything you remember, every detail. Can you do that? Yes, ma'am, but why? Because Senator Hardwick sold us out, and his son is about to become Secretary of Defense, and I'm going to stop him. Holy shit, you're serious. As a heart attack. Yeah, so write it down, notarize it, send it to me, and Hollis, watch your back. People who knew this stuff have a habit of dying. Understood, ma'am. The third call is to Sergeant Rhett Donnelly. Except Rhett doesn't answer. I try 3 times. No response. Straight to voicemail. I call Flint. When did you last talk to Rhett? Yesterday. He was fine. Said he'd help however he could. Said he remembered seeing something too. He's not answering now. Maybe he's just out, running errands. Phone died. Or maybe Hardwick got to him first. Flint's voice hardens. How fast can you get here? Give me 20 minutes. We drive to Rhett's house. 3 hours north through winding mountain roads. Small town in Montana, population maybe 1,500, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone and strangers get noticed. We pull up to Rhett's house at 6:47 p.m. The sun is setting behind the mountains, golden light painting everything orange and purple. Beautiful, should be peaceful, but something is wrong. The front door is open, not wide open, just ajar, maybe 6 inches. like someone left in a hurry or was dragged out. Flint and I exchange looks. He pulls a pistol from his glove box. I didn't know he had one, but of course he does. Once a Marine, always a Marine. "Stay here," he says. "Like hell." We approach the house together. Flint first, gun raised, trained. Even at 71, his movements are controlled. Professional, muscle memory from decades of combat. He pushes the door open with his foot. "Rhett, it's Flint Garrison. You home." No answer. We step inside. The house is neat, clean. Photos on the walls, family, grandkids. A life well lived. A life earned through survival. But the kitchen table is overturned, papers scattered across the floor, a coffee mug shattered, brown liquid soaking into the rug, signs of struggle. "Rhett," I call out. Still nothing. We check every room, bedroom, bathroom, office, garage, all empty, all showing signs that someone was here, recently, but not anymore. In the office, we find his computer, still on, email program open. The last email is from yesterday, from Rhett to me. Subject information about Beirut, Captain Calloway. "Flint told me you're investigating what happened. I want to help. I saw something the night before the bombing. Senator Hardwick meeting with someone who wasn't military, someone who looked wrong, foreign. I've kept quiet for 41 years because I was scared. But I'm old now, tired of being scared, tired of letting evil men win. I'll call you tomorrow with details. Semper Fi Rhett." The email is timestamped 9:34 p.m. Last night. I check his sent folder. The email never went out. It's sitting in drafts, unsent, interrupted. "He was going to send it," I whisper. Then someone stopped him. Flint is already on his phone, calling 911. "I need to report a possible kidnapping. My friend is missing. His house shows signs of a struggle." While Flint talks to the police, I search the office, looking for anything, any clue about what happened, any sign of where they took him. I find it under the desk, a business card, white, expensive cardstock, embossed lettering, Hardwick Defense Solutions. Below that a name, Marcus Webb, Director of Security, and handwritten on the back in neat block letters, "Last chance, stay quiet or face consequences." I photograph it with my phone, send it to Agent Cole on the secure line. His response is immediate. "Get out of there, now." "Why?" "If they took Rhett, they might come back for you. Local PD could be compromised. You're in a small town. Hardwick has money. He can buy anyone. Move, now." "We can't just leave." "You can't help Rhett if you're dead. Move, now." Flint finishes with 911. "Police are coming. ETA 20 minutes. We need to go, now." "What, why?" I show him Cole's message. His face hardens. Understanding dawns. "Shit, you're right. Let's move." We're in the car, engine running, about to pull away when two SUVs turn onto the street. Black, tinted windows, moving fast. Not police, not local. "Go," I say. Flint guns it. His old pickup truck protests but obeys. We shoot down the street, tires screaming. The SUVs follow. "They're on us," Flint says. I noticed. "What do we do? You still know how to drive evasive." "It's been a while. It's like riding a bike, just faster and more likely to kill us." He takes a hard right, tires screaming on asphalt. I brace against the door. My hip protests. Sharp pain shooting up my spine. I ignore it. Pain is old news. The SUVs follow, gaining. They're newer, faster, better equipped. Professional pursuit vehicles. But Flint knows these roads, grew up in Montana, spent his childhood driving on dirt roads and mountain passes before GPS made everything easy. He takes another turn, onto a gravel road. The truck fishtails, but he corrects with practiced ease, years of tactical driving training kicking in. The SUVs follow, but they're not as comfortable on gravel. They slide, slow down, give us space. "There's a fire road 2 miles ahead," Flint says. "Leads into the national forest. They won't follow us there." "Why not?" "Because if they do, we'll hear them coming from a mile away, and because I know that forest, they don't." We make it to the fire road. It's barely a road, more like a suggestion. 2 ruts through thick pine forest. The truck bounces and lurches over rocks and roots. My head hits the ceiling. Pain explodes through my hip. I bite down. Don't make a sound. Flint has enough to worry about. The SUVs reach the entrance to the fire road. Stop. Don't follow. Too risky. Too exposed. They're professionals. They know when to pull back. Flint keeps driving. 3 miles into the forest, then pulls off onto an even smaller trail, hides the truck behind a thick stand of trees where satellite can't see us. We sit in silence, breathing hard, listening. No engine sounds, no pursuit, just wind through pines and the hammering of our hearts. "You okay?" Flint asks. "Fine." "You're lying." "Yeah." He pulls out his phone. No signal. "Of course not. We're in the middle of nowhere, exactly where we need to be. We wait here until dark," he says. "Then we hike out. There's a ranger station about 5 miles north. We can call for help from there. Hardwick has Rhett." "I know. We have to find him." "We will, but not if we're dead." He's right. I hate it, but he's right. We wait. Watch the sun set through the trees. The temperature drops fast. Montana in June. Hot during the day, cold at night. I start shivering. Flint takes off his jacket, hands it to me. "I'm fine," I say. "Take the damn jacket, Raven. You weigh 120. I weigh 210. I've got more insulation." I take the jacket. It smells like gun oil and old leather and safety. "Thank you," I whisper. "For what? For believing me, for helping me, for risking your son, your life, everything. You saved my life 41 years ago. I've been looking for a way to repay that debt ever since." "You don't owe me anything." "Yes, I do. We all do. Every one of us you pulled from that rubble. We owe you everything." "I was just doing my job." "No, you were doing more than that. You gave us your blood, your strength, your hope. You destroyed your body to save ours. That's not a job. That's love." I don't know what to say to that, so I don't say anything. Just sit in the darkness, breathing, thinking, planning. At 9:30 p.m. we hike out, slow going. My hip screams with every step. Flint's bad leg drags. We're 2 broken old soldiers stumbling through a forest in the dark, but we're alive, and we're moving. That's something. We reach the ranger station at 11:15 p.m. It's closed, locked. But there's an emergency phone outside, satellite connection, can't be traced or tapped. I call Agent Cole. "Where are you?" He sounds worried, more worried than a CIA agent should sound. "Montana, National Forest. They took Rhett, they came after us. We're okay, but we need extraction." "I'll send a team, stay where you are, 2 hours." "Cole, they have Rhett, we have to find him." "We're working on it. Hardwick's security team checked into a hotel 30 miles from Rhett's house. We have satellite surveillance. If Rhett is alive, we'll find him." "If." Silence. "Cole, is Rhett alive?" "I don't know, but I promise you we're doing everything we can." The team arrives at 1:47 a.m. 3 agents in an unmarked van. They drive us to a safe house in Billings. 2 bedrooms, basic furniture. Secure communications, the kind of place that doesn't officially exist. Agent Cole is waiting. "Sit down," he says. "We need to talk." We sit, Flint and I on one couch, Cole in a chair opposite. He looks tired, older than when I met him 2 days ago. This is taking its toll on all of us. "Rhett Donnelly is alive," he says. "We tracked him to a warehouse on the outskirts of town. Hardwick's security team has him. They're interrogating him. Interrogating him about what? About you, about what he knows, about what he saw, about who else might know. We need to get him out. We can't, not yet. If we move in, we tip our hand. Hardwick will know we're watching. He'll go to ground. We'll lose our chance to get everything. So we just let them torture him. We're monitoring. The moment his life is in danger, we intervene. But right now, Rhett is gathering evidence. Every threat, every question, every illegal action, it's all being recorded. He didn't volunteer for this." "No, but he's a Marine. He understands sacrifice." I stand up, too fast, my hip buckles. I catch myself on the arm of the couch. Sit down, Captain Calloway. Don't tell me to sit down. One of my Marines is being tortured and you want me to do nothing. I want you to be smart. We have 53 hours until your deadline. Hardwick is panicking, making mistakes, taking risks. The more pressure we apply, the more mistakes he'll make. And each mistake is evidence we can use to destroy him completely. At what cost? At whatever cost it takes. That's war, Captain. You know that better than anyone. You've made these calculations before. Sacrifice one to save many. Acceptable losses. The math of combat. He's right, I do know. I've made those calculations. In Beirut, under that rubble, deciding who to save first, who could wait, who was too far gone. But this is different. This is Rhett. This is a man I pulled from rubble. A man whose hand I held while he told me about his daughter, his granddaughter, his hope for the future. How long, I ask? 12 hours. If we don't have what we need, by then we extract him. I promise. Your promises don't mean much if Rhett is dead. Then trust that I want to stop Hardwick as much as you do, and that I'm willing to use every tool available, including Rhett's suffering, including your anger, including the deaths of 4 Marines who were murdered. I'll use all of it to bring him down. I sit back down, not because I agree, but because I don't have a choice. Show me the surveillance, I say. Cole hesitates. It's not pleasant. Show me. He pulls out a tablet, cues up video footage, black and white, grainy, night vision, but clear enough. A warehouse, concrete floor, metal walls, in the center a chair. Rhett is tied to it, hands behind his back, ankles bound, blood on his face. 2 men circle him. One is tall, military build, buzz cut. The other is shorter, thicker. They're both professionals. You can tell by the way they move. Efficient, controlled, no wasted motion. The tall one asks questions. I can't hear audio, but I can read lips well enough. What did you tell Captain Calloway? Rhett shakes his head. The short one hits him. Open palm to the face. Rhett's head snaps to the side. Blood from his nose. What did you see in Beirut? Again. Rhett shakes his head. Another hit. Harder this time. Rhett's lip splits. More blood runs down his chin. I close my eyes. Can't watch. But I can hear Flint breathing beside me. Harsh. Angry. Barely controlled. Keep watching, Cole says quietly. You need to see what Hardwick is capable of. You need to see what we're fighting against. I force my eyes open. The interrogation continues. 20 minutes of questions, of silence, of violence. Rhett doesn't break, doesn't give them anything, just takes the pain and stays silent. Then a new person enters the frame. Colonel Dalton Hardwick. He walks to Rhett, leans down, says something. I can read his lips. Where is the document? Rhett spits in his face. Hardwick doesn't react, just pulls out a handkerchief, wipes his face, puts the handkerchief back in his pocket, straightens his tie, then he pulls out a pistol. My heart stops. Hardwick presses the gun to Rhett's temple, holds it there, lets Rhett feel the cold metal, lets him wonder if this is the last thing he'll ever feel. No, I whisper. But Hardwick doesn't fire, just holds it there for 10 seconds, 20, 30, then lowers the gun, says something else, turns and walks away. The 2 interrogators remain, continue their work. Cole stops the video. That was 3 hours ago. He's still alive, still holding out, still refusing to give you up. How much longer? As long as it takes. But Raven, you need to understand something. Hardwick just committed kidnapping, assault, attempted murder, all on camera, all admissible. This is what we needed. This is how we stop him. By letting my friend be tortured. Yes, I'm sorry, but yes. I stand again, this time more carefully, walk to the window, look out at the Montana night, stars everywhere. More stars than I've seen in years, beautiful and cold and indifferent. I think about Rhett, about the 73 hours under rubble, about how I told every single person I found that they were going to be okay, that rescue was coming, that they just had to hold on, and they believed me, because I was a captain, because I was a medic, because I promised. I'm promising again now, not out loud, just in my heart. Hold on, Rhett, I'm coming. I turn back to Cole. What do you need from me? Keep the pressure on. You have 53 hours until the deadline. Make noise. Threaten to go public. Force Hardwick to make more mistakes. Every move he makes against you is more evidence. You want me to be bait. I want you to be what you've always been, a Marine who doesn't quit, a fighter who doesn't back down, a woman who saved 73 lives by refusing to give up. 72 if Rhett dies. He won't, I swear to you. We will extract him before it gets that far. I want to believe him. Want to trust that someone in authority actually gives a damn about doing the right thing. But I've been disappointed too many times. Okay, I say. What's next? Next you go public, controlled leak. We give one piece of evidence to the press, not enough to blow the whole case, just enough to make Hardwick panic. Which piece? The bank records, $2 million from an Iranian source to Senator Hardwick 8 days before the bombing. That alone won't prove treason. Could be legitimate diplomatic business, but it raises questions, makes people look closer, starts the conversation. Who do we leak it to? I have a contact, New York Times, investigative journalist. He's been trying to prove corruption in defense contracting for years. He'll run with this. He'll verify it. He'll protect the source. When? Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. Front page digital edition. By noon, every news channel in the country will be covering it. And Hardwick will know it came from me. Yes, he'll come after you harder, but we'll be ready, we'll be watching, and every move he makes is another nail in his coffin. Flint speaks up for the first time in an hour. What about Wyatt? If this goes public, they might kill him to punish me. Cole shakes his head. Wyatt is military, active duty in a combat zone. Killing him would draw too much attention, create too many questions. They're more likely to double down on the false charges, try to send him to Leavenworth. But we have people watching him too. The moment the charges move forward, we'll intervene. We'll expose the setup. You better be right. I am, trust me. Flint looks at me. What do you think, Raven? I think about 241 Marines who never got a choice, who died because a senator sold them out for money. I think about Rhett tied to a chair with a gun to his head. I think about 4 murdered witnesses who tried to tell the truth and paid with their lives. I think we don't have a choice, I say. We finish this. Cole nods. Then get some sleep. Tomorrow is going to be a long day. Sleep doesn't come. I lie in bed, breathing, thinking, listening to Flint snoring in the next room. Wonder if Rhett is sleeping. Wonder if he's thinking about his granddaughter, his life, the choices that led him to a warehouse in Montana with a gun to his head. At 4:32 a.m., my secure phone buzzes. Text from Cole. Article drops in 4 hours, 28 minutes. Prepare for shitstorm. I text back. Born ready. At 9 a.m. Eastern, the New York Times publishes the story. Headline, Questions Raised About Defense Nominees' Family Finances, $2 million transfer from Iranian sources before Beirut bombing. The article is careful, factual, doesn't accuse anyone of anything, just presents the bank records, asks questions, notes the timing, quotes anonymous sources close to the investigation. By 9:47 a.m., it's trending on Twitter. By 10:15, CNN picks it up. By 11, every news channel is covering it. The talking heads are talking. The speculation is wild. The questions are mounting. By noon, Hardwick holds a press conference. We watch it on the TV in the safe house. Hardwick stands behind a podium, surrounded by lawyers, 6 of them, all in expensive suits, looking calm, controlled, but I can see it. The tension around his eyes, the tightness in his jaw, the slight tremor in his hands when he grips the podium. These allegations are completely baseless, he says. His voice is smooth, practiced, the voice of a man who's lied successfully many times before. My father was a patriot who served this country with distinction for 3 decades. The transfer in question was related to legitimate diplomatic operations. The timing is coincidental. This is clearly a politically motivated attack designed to derail my nomination. A reporter shouts a question. Colonel Hardwick, can you explain the specific purpose of the $2 million transfer? That information is classified, but I can assure you that proper oversight was maintained and all actions were within legal bounds. Another question. Do you know who leaked this information? We have our suspicions, and I can tell you that anyone who leaks classified financial records will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. That's a threat, directed at me, and everyone watching knows it. The press conference continues, 20 minutes of careful non-answers and veiled threats. Hardwick is good, trained, professional. Then a reporter asks the question I've been waiting for. Colonel Hardwick, there are reports that several Beirut bombing survivors who might have had knowledge of your father's activities have died under suspicious circumstances over the past 2 decades. Can you comment? Hardwick's face goes white. Just for a second. Then the mask is back. I'm not going to dignify conspiracy theories with a response. Next question. But the damage is done. The seed is planted, people are asking questions, the internet is exploding, hashtags are trending, the story has legs. My phone rings, not the secure one, my regular phone. Unknown number. I answer. Yes, you're making a very serious mistake. Hardwick's voice, cold, controlled, but there's an edge to it now. Panic, fear. You have no idea what you're getting into, no idea who you're dealing with. I know exactly who I'm dealing with, a coward whose father sold out his brothers and who's continuing that legacy. Careful, Captain Calloway. You're an old woman with a bad hip and a dead-end job. I'm about to become the Secretary of Defense. Who do you think people will believe? The one with evidence. Evidence can disappear. People can disappear. You should know. You've seen it happen 4 times now. Is that a threat? It's a fact. Corporal Reeves, Lieutenant Green, Sergeant Donnelly, Petty Officer Whitmore, all gone. All because they couldn't keep their mouths shut. You just confessed to 4 murders. Did I? I don't think so. I simply noted that people who make accusations against my family tend to meet unfortunate ends. That's just observation, not confession. This call is being recorded. No, it's not. I'm calling from a burner phone routed through 3 countries. Even if you are recording, it'll never be admissible in any court. He's smart, careful, but he made one mistake. He called me, which means I got to him, which means he's scared, which means I'm winning. 42 hours, I say. That's how much time you have left. To do what? To withdraw your nomination, to turn yourself in, to face justice for what your father did and what you've done to cover it up. That's not going to happen. Then I release everything. The document, the fingerprints, the bank records, the pattern of deaths, all of it. Every news outlet in the country, every member of Congress, every person who needs to know that you're a traitor's son continuing his father's work. And I release everything I have on you. Every mistake you've ever made, every regulation you've ever bent, every person you've failed to save. I'll destroy your reputation, your legacy, everything those 73 people think about you. They know who I am. They were there. Were they, or do they just remember what you told them? Memory is malleable, Captain, especially 41-year-old memory shaped by trauma and time. I can make them doubt. I can make them question. I can make them wonder if maybe you weren't the hero you claimed to be. You can try. I don't try, I succeed. That's what separates us. You're a dreamer who thinks justice matters. I'm a realist who knows power is all that matters. And I have power, money, connections. You have nothing. I have the truth. The truth is whatever people believe, and people believe money, power, success. They don't believe cafeteria workers with PTSD and conspiracy theories. Then I guess we'll see. I hang up. Flint is staring at me. Did he just confess to 4 murders? Yes, but he's right. It's not admissible. Burner phone, no way to trace it, no way to prove it was him. But Cole was listening. Listening isn't the same as recording, not legally. My secure phone buzzes. Text from Cole. We got it. Not admissible in court, but perfect for the press. Leak coming in 3 hours. I text back. Rhett. Still alive, still holding. Extraction planned for 1800 hours. 6 hours from now. 6 hours. 360 minutes. Rhett just has to hold on a little longer. At 3 p.m., the second leak drops. Another anonymous source. Another carefully worded article. this time detailing the pattern of deaths. 4 Beirut survivors. All died within months of Hardwick career milestones. All had potential knowledge of Senator Hardwick's activities. All ruled accidents or natural causes despite suspicious circumstances. The article doesn't accuse Hardwick of murder, just notes the pattern, asks questions, lets readers draw their own conclusions. Within an hour, social media explodes. Hashtags trend, hashtag Hardwick scandal, hashtag Beirut truth, hashtag justice for 241. Former military personnel start speaking out. Senators call for investigation. The nomination hearing is postponed indefinitely pending review. Hardwick is losing control, and he knows it. At 5:47 p.m., 13 minutes before the planned extraction of Rhett, everything goes to hell. Agent Cole calls. His voice is tight, controlled panic. "We have a problem." "What kind of problem?" "Hardwick moved Rhett 20 minutes ago. We lost satellite coverage in the transition. We don't know where he is." My blood runs cold. "Find him." "We're trying. Every resource we have, every satellite, every contact. But if Hardwick thinks Rhett talked, if he thinks we're closing in, he'll kill him." "Yes." I look at Flint, see the fear in his eyes, the same fear I'm feeling, the same calculation I'm making. We're going to lose another one, another Marine, another life I promised to save, unless we do something drastic. "I'm going to make him an offer," I say. "What kind of offer?" "The only kind that matters. I'll trade myself for Rhett." "Absolutely not. It's not your call. Captain Calloway, if you do this, you're signing your own death warrant. Hardwick will kill you the second he has you." "Maybe. Or maybe he'll make a mistake. Either way, it gets Rhett free. That's all that matters. We need you alive. You're the key witness. Without me, you still have the evidence, the document, the bank records, Dr. Thatcher's testimony. You have everything you need. We need you." "Rhett needs me more." I hang up before Cole can argue further. Pull out my regular phone. Call the last number that called me. Hardwick's burner. He answers on the first ring, waiting for this, expecting it. "I'm listening." "I'll trade. Me for Rhett. Straight exchange." Silence. I can hear him thinking, calculating, weighing options, running scenarios. Why would I agree to that? Because I'm the one with the original document. I'm the one who can testify about what I saw. I'm the one the press wants to interview. Kill me, the story dies. You win. Or I kill you both. You could, but then Cole releases everything immediately. You get nothing, no deal, no chance to negotiate, just exposure and ruin. More silence. "Where?" he asks finally. "Your choice. Somewhere public enough that you can't kill me immediately, private enough that we can talk. The old Marine barracks, outside Billings, been abandoned for 20 years, 8 p.m. Come alone. I want proof Rhett is alive." A pause, then I hear Rhett's voice, weak, strained, but alive. "Raven, don't do this. Don't." The line cuts. 8 p.m., Hardwick says. "Alone, or Rhett dies, slowly." He hangs up. Flint grabs my arm. "You can't do this." "I have to. It's suicide." "Maybe, but it's the only way to save Rhett." "Raven, listen to me. You saved my life 41 years ago. You don't have to save anyone else. You've done enough. You've given enough." I look at him. This man I pulled from rubble. This man who became like family. I'm a Marine, Flint. I don't leave anyone behind. Not then, not now, not ever. "Then I'm coming with you." "No." "Raven." "No. If this goes wrong, someone needs to finish it. Someone needs to make sure the evidence gets out. Someone needs to make sure Hardwick doesn't win. That's you. I can't let you do this alone." "Yes, you can, because it's what I need, what Rhett needs, what those 241 Marines who died need." He doesn't argue anymore, just pulls me into a hug, holds me tight, like he's saying goodbye. Semper Fi Raven, always faithful. At 7:30 p.m., I leave the safe house, alone, against Agent Cole's orders, against every instinct for self-preservation, against common sense and tactical judgment. But I'm not going to save myself. I'm going to save Rhett. Because that's what Marines do. We don't leave anyone behind. The old Marine barracks sits 30 miles outside Billings, like a tombstone marking something dead and forgotten. Chain-link fence rusted through in a dozen places. Buildings with broken windows and graffiti-covered walls. Guard towers empty for 2 decades. The kind of place teenagers use for parties and drug deals. The kind of place where screams go unheard and blood soaks into concrete that's seen too much already. Perfect for what Hardwick has planned. I arrive at 7:53 p.m. 7 minutes early. Old habit. Marines show up early. Shows respect. Shows discipline. Shows you take the mission seriously. Even if the mission is your own execution. I park my Honda Civic next to the rusted fence. Engine off, headlights off, sit in darkness for a moment. Breathing, preparing, making peace with whatever comes next. 147 heartbeats. That's how many beats pass before I see the other vehicle. Black SUV, same kind that chased us through Montana. It pulls through the broken gate, drives straight to the center of the compound, stops. Headlights stay on, pointed at my car. Blinding. I get out, slowly. Hands visible, no weapons, no phone, nothing but me and my cane and 41 years of rage compressed into this single moment. I walk toward the light. My hip screams with every step. The gravel is uneven. Twice I almost fall, but I don't, because falling shows weakness. And I can't show weakness. Not now, not when it matters most. When I'm 20 feet from the SUV, a door opens. Colonel Dalton Hardwick steps out. He's not alone. 2 men flank him. Security, both armed, both watching me like I'm a threat. Like a 69-year-old woman with a cane could take them. Maybe I could, if I had to. If I remembered every pressure point, every vulnerable spot, every dirty trick they taught us in combat training. But that's not why I'm here. Behind the SUV, a second vehicle, smaller, a sedan. The back door opens. Someone pushes Rhett out. He falls to his knees, hands zip-tied behind his back, face swollen, blood crusted on his chin, but alive, still breathing. "Rhett!" I call out. "You okay?" He looks up. Even from here I can see his eyes are wrong, unfocused. They drugged him, or beat him so hard he's concussed, or both. "Raven," his voice is thick, slurred. "You shouldn't have come. Had to. Can't leave a Marine behind." Hardwick laughs. It's not a pleasant sound. Cold, mocking. The laugh of a man who thinks he's already won. How touching. The hero complex that destroyed your body 41 years ago. Still going strong, still making you do stupid things. I ignore him. Keep my eyes on Rhett. "You're going home. I promise." "Promises?" Hardwick says, walking closer. "You made a lot of those in Beirut, didn't you? Told everyone they were going to be okay. Told them rescue was coming. Told them to hold on. And they believed you, because you were a captain, because you were a medic, because you promised." He stops 5 feet away, close enough to see his face clearly in the SUV's headlights. Far enough to stay out of my reach. But promises don't mean much, do they? Not when you're built on lies. Not when the only reason 73 people lived is because you got lucky. It wasn't luck. No. Then what was it, skill divine intervention, or just stubborn refusal to accept reality? It was duty, something you wouldn't understand. His face hardens, anger flashing in his eyes. I understand duty. I served 27 years, multiple deployments, combat ribbons, Bronze Star. I earned my rank through blood and sweat and sacrifice. What did you earn? A medical discharge and a limp. I earned the right to look those 73 people in the eye. Can you say the same? I don't need to justify myself to you. No, you need to justify yourself to 241 dead Marines, to their families, to every person who trusted your father and died for it. My father was a patriot. Your father was a traitor, and you know it. That's why you killed 4 witnesses. That's why you're here now. That's why you're willing to murder me, because you know the truth and you can't let it come out. Hardwick pulls out a pistol. Same one from the video. Same one he pressed to Rhett's temple. Cold metal that's ended lives before. You're right, he says calmly. I can't let it come out, which is why you're not leaving here alive. Shoot me, and Agent Cole releases everything. The document, the testimony, the surveillance footage, all of it. You lose. Cole is CIA. He follows orders, and I have friends who give those orders. By tomorrow morning, Cole will be reassigned to some backwater listening post in Alaska. His investigation shut down. His evidence buried in a classified vault. And you'll be a footnote. Mentally unstable veteran makes false accusations. Tragic suicide. Case closed. You think you have that much power? I know I do. Money buys power. Power protects money. It's a simple equation. And I have more of both than you can imagine. He raises the pistol, points it at my chest. Steady, professional. The stance of a man who's fired weapons at people before. Any last words? I look past him. At Rhett. At this man I saved, this man who tried to tell the truth, this man who's about to watch me die. Yeah, I say. I have last words, but not for you. I look directly at one of the security guards, the one on Hardwick's left, younger, maybe 35, military bearing, short hair cropped close to his skull, the kind of man who probably enlisted because he believed in something. What's your name, son? The guard blinks, surprised. What? Your name, what is it? He glances at Hardwick, unsure if he's allowed to answer. Answer her, Hardwick snaps. Webb, Marcus Webb, the name from the business card, Director of Security for Hardwick Defense Solutions, the man who left the threat on Rhett's desk. Marcus, you Marines, 12 years, got out in 2020. Combat in Afghanistan, 2 tours, Helmand Province. Then you know the oath. You swore to support and defend the Constitution, against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I know the oath. Then you know what's happening here is wrong. Kidnapping, torture, murder. That's not what Marines do. That's not what we stand for. I follow orders. So did the guards at Nuremberg. Didn't save them from the gallows. Hardwick laughs. You're really going to try to appeal to his conscience. He works for me. He's loyal to me. Not to some antiquated notion of honor that doesn't pay the bills. I keep my eyes on Webb. How much is he paying you, Marcus? Enough. Enough to kill a 70-year-old Marine who survived Beirut. Enough to shoot an unarmed woman. Enough to look at yourself in the mirror every morning. Enough. Hardwick interrupts. This is getting tedious. Marcus takes Sergeant Donnelly to the vehicle. We're done here. But Marcus doesn't move. Just stands there, staring at me. Something working behind his eyes. I was there, he says quietly. Where Beirut, not 83. But I visited the memorial in 2015. Saw the names. 241 of them carved in black granite. I stood there and I cried because those were my brothers, my family, even though I never met them, even though they died before I was born, because that's what the Corps is, family. Marcus? Hardwick's voice is sharp now. Warning. Do your job. And I read about the bombing, Marcus continues like Hardwick isn't speaking. About the investigation that went nowhere, about how someone sold us out, sold them out, gave intel to the enemy. I read that and I wanted to know who, wanted justice, but the files were classified, buried, gone, like the truth didn't matter anymore. Marcus, last warning. Marcus finally looks at Hardwick, really looks at him. It was your father, wasn't it? He's the one who sold them out, who got 241 Marines killed for money. That's a lie, a conspiracy theory peddled by unstable veterans with PTSD. You know better than to. Then why are we here? Why are we holding a Marine who wants to testify? Why are you about to shoot a woman who has evidence? Why all this if it's just a lie? Because she's a liar, a mentally unstable. She's Captain Reese Calloway, the Raven of Beirut. I read about her too after I visited the memorial. 73 saves in 73 hours. Combat medic. Silver Star recommended but never awarded because the operation was classified. She's not a liar. She's a goddamn hero. And you're about to murder her to protect your traitor father's secret. The words hang in the air. Heavy, true, undeniable. Hardwick's face is white. You're fired, both of you, effective immediately. Security will escort you from the property tomorrow, and you'll never work in this industry again. The second guard, younger, maybe 28, hasn't spoken yet, now lowers his weapon, just slightly, enough to show he's listening, enough to show he's questioning. You can't fire us, Marcus says. We quit. He drops his weapon, steps away from Hardwick, walks to Rhett, pulls out a knife, cuts the zip ties with practiced efficiency. Can you walk, Sergeant? Rhett struggles to his feet. Marcus supports him, helps him stand on legs that barely work. Yeah, Rhett mumbles. I can walk. The second guard, I still don't know his name, drops his weapon too. I'm with Webb, he says quietly. Both men step between Hardwick and us. A human shield. Marines protecting Marines. Marcus looks at me. Get him out of here, Captain. We'll handle this. But Hardwick still has his pistol, still pointed at me. His hand is shaking now. Rage, fear, desperation, the cornered animal realization that everything is falling apart. You're all making a mistake, a fatal mistake. The only mistake, I say quietly, was thinking you could buy everyone. That money and power matter more than honor. You can't, and they don't. I will destroy all of you. Your careers, your families, your lives. I have connections you can't imagine, resources beyond your comprehension. You can try, but you're done. The evidence is out. The press knows. Congress knows. You can kill me, but you can't kill the truth. It's bigger than you now. Watch me. He fires. The sound is deafening in the silence. The muzzle flash blinds me. I feel the impact, like being punched in the chest by a giant fist. Hard. My legs buckle. I fall, hit the gravel, taste blood, copper and salt, and the knowledge that this is it. This is how it ends. Not in Beirut under rubble, but in Montana under stars. Shot by a man I saved, by a man whose life I gave back to him with my own blood and broken body. Poetic, in a horrible way. Footsteps running, multiple voices shouting. More gunshots, but I can't tell who's shooting or at what. Everything is distant now, underwater, fading. Someone kneels beside me, hands on my chest. Pressure. It hurts so much I try to scream, but no sound comes out, just blood in my throat. Stay with me, Captain. Stay with me. Marcus's voice. He's doing compression on the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Professional, trained. But even I know it's bad. Medic, we need a medic. Ironic. I'm the medic. Was the medic. But I can't help myself now. Can't even breathe properly. More footsteps, more voices. I recognize one through the fog. Agent Cole. What the hell happened? Hardwick shot her. We disarmed him. He's contained, but she's hit bad. Chest wound, right lung. She needs a hospital now. Choppers inbound, 2 minutes. 2 minutes. 120 seconds. But I've lost track of counting, lost track of everything except the pain and the fading light. The world is getting dark, fuzzy. Sounds are distant, like I'm underwater, like I'm back in Beirut under tons of concrete and I can't breathe and I'm dying and I've been here before. This feeling of slipping away, of your body shutting down, of heartbeats slowing to nothing. But then I was surrounded by people who needed me, people I had to save. People counting on me to keep them alive. Now I'm surrounded by people trying to save me. Different, but somehow the same. I hear the helicopter, rotors chopping air, landing nearby, dust and gravel flying everywhere, people lifting me, carrying me, strapping me down on a gurney. Someone puts an oxygen mask on my face. Someone else starts an IV. Professional, efficient, combat medics just like I used to be. The helicopter lifts off, my stomach lurches. Pain explodes through my chest like a bomb going off. I try not to scream. Fail. B dropping 80/40. She's going into shock. She's losing too much blood. We need to transfuse now. What's her type? O negative. We don't have O negative on board. Then use O positive and pray it doesn't kill her. They hook up the transfusion. I feel cold liquid entering my veins. Foreign blood, stranger's blood. Keeping me alive, just like I did for Sergeant Garrison 41 years ago, gave my blood to keep him alive, connected my vein to his with plastic tubing and hope. Funny how things circle back. The helicopter ride takes 14 minutes. Even dying, some part of me counts. Old habits never die, even when you do. We land on a hospital roof. They wheel me inside. Bright lights, white walls, people in scrubs running alongside my gurney shouting medical terms I understand but can't quite process. Someone is asking me questions. Name, age, allergies. I try to answer. My voice sounds wrong, distant, like it belongs to someone else. Captain Reese Calloway, 69, no allergies. Blood type O, negative. I'm a medic. I know what's happening. I'm going into shock. You need to operate now, or I'm dead. A doctor leans over me, young face, kind eyes. Too young to have seen what I've seen. We're going to take care of you, Captain. You're going to be okay. Don't lie, I'm a medic. I know a fatal chest wound when I feel one. You're not going to die, not on my watch. People always say that, doesn't make it true. It's true this time, I promise. Promises. Everyone makes promises. I made promises too. 73 of them. Under rubble, in darkness, and I kept every single one. They wheel me into an operating room, transfer me to a table. The lights are so bright I have to close my eyes. So bright they burn through my eyelids. Someone puts a mask over my face, different from the oxygen mask. This one smells sweet, chemical, anesthesia. Count backward from 10, Captain. 10, 9, 8. I don't make it to 7. I dream. Not about Beirut this time. Not about the bombing. Not about rubble and darkness and dying men. Not about the 73 hours that defined everything that came after. I dream about after, the day they pulled me out. Sunlight so bright it hurt worse than the shrapnel. Hands lifting me. Voices telling me I was safe. That I was going to live. That I did it. That I saved them. I dream about the hospital. 3 months of surgery and physical therapy and pain that made Beirut seem like a warm-up. Learning to walk again on a leg that would never work right. Learning to live with a body that would never be the same. I dream about the first time I stood up. Used a walker. Took 3 steps while doctors told me it was impossible. I did it anyway, because impossible just means no one's done it yet. I dream about the letters. 73 letters from 73 people I saved. Thank you. You saved my life. I owe you everything. I'm naming my daughter after you, my son, my grandchild. You're a hero. I dream about the nightmares, the ones that came every night for 5 years, reliving the blast, the weight, the screams, the helplessness of being buried alive. I dream about the day the nightmares stopped, not because I healed, but because I accepted. This is who I am now. Broken but alive, damaged but functional, carrying scars that will never fade, but learning to wear them like armor. I dream about the cafeteria, 23 years of serving coffee, making sandwiches, being invisible, listening to veterans tell their stories while keeping my own story locked away in the place where I kept all the things too painful to examine. I dream about the choice to stay silent, the fear, the calculation. Who would believe me? What could I do better to keep your head down, stay safe, survive? I dream about Flint calling, about Wyatt being threatened, about deciding that 41 years of silence was enough, that some things matter more than safety, more than survival. I dream about Hardwick's face when I told him I remembered, when I promised to bring him down, when I refused to be invisible anymore, the fear in his eyes when he realized the past had teeth. I dream about Rhett in that warehouse, bloodied, beaten, but not broken. Still refusing to give me up, still holding on, still being a Marine. I dream about the gunshot, the impact, the falling, the darkness closing in like it did in Beirut, but this time maybe for good. And then I dream about waking up. The first thing I feel is pain, sharp, burning, right side of my chest, like someone shoved a hot poker between my ribs and left it there. The second thing I hear is beeping, steady, rhythmic, heart monitor. I'm alive, still here, still fighting. The third thing I see is white ceiling, hospital room, ICU probably. I've been in enough of them to recognize the setup, The smell, the sounds, the feeling of being more machine than human. I try to move. Bad idea. Pain explodes through my torso like a bomb going off. I gasp. Try not to scream. Fail. Don't move. A voice, female, nurse. She appears in my field of vision. Middle-aged, competent-looking. The kind of nurse who's seen everything and isn't impressed by anything anymore. You just had major surgery. You need to stay still. How long? You've been unconscious for 18 hours. Surgery took 6 hours. You've been in recovery since. 18 hours, 1,080 minutes. I've lost track of counting. The numbers don't matter anymore. What's the damage? The bullet entered your right chest, punctured your lung, nicked your liver. We had to remove part of your lung, repair the liver. You lost a lot of blood. But you're stable now, lucky to be alive. Will I live? She smiles. Doctor says you're too stubborn to die. I believe him. I've seen your type before. You'll outlive us all. Is there anyone here? Flint, Garrison Agent Cole. There's someone waiting. I'll get him. She leaves, returns 2 minutes later with Flint. He looks terrible, like he hasn't slept since I left for the barracks. Eyes red, face drawn. But when he sees me awake, he smiles like the sun coming out after a storm. Raven, Jesus. You scared the hell out of me. Sorry, didn't mean to. Like hell you didn't. You walked into an ambush knowing you'd probably die. Had to save Rhett. You did. He's fine. Concussed, dehydrated, beat to hell. But alive, thanks to you. Thanks to Marcus Webb and the other guard. Thanks to a lot of people, but mostly thanks to you. And Hardwick. Flint's smile widens. Gets dangerous. In custody. FBI arrested him 6 hours ago. Charged with attempted murder, kidnapping, assault, conspiracy, obstruction of justice, and about 15 other felonies. He's done. Finished. Over. The evidence, all of it. Dr. Thatcher's forensic report, the bank records, Cole's surveillance footage of Rhett's interrogation, Webb's testimony, your testimony once you're well enough to give it, and something else. What? Marcus Webb, the security guard who turned. He's cooperating fully, gave a complete statement about everything Hardwick ordered him to do, every illegal act, every threat, every murder he knows about. Turns out Hardwick kept detailed records, insurance policy in case someone tried to double-cross him. Webb knows where those records are. He's turning them all over. I close my eyes, feel relief wash over me like warm water. It's over. Not quite. There's still the Senate hearing, congressional investigation, criminal trial. It's going to take months, maybe years, but yeah, the hard part is over. What about Wyatt? Charges dropped, full reinstatement with back pay. They're even talking about promotion to major. Someone high up realized the whole thing was a setup and they don't want the blowback. Don't want it coming out that they were complicit in Hardwick's scheme. Good. That's good. We sit in silence for a moment, just breathing. Being alive, 2 old soldiers who survived another firefight. Raven, Flint says quietly, why did you do it? Why risk everything? You could have stayed silent, stayed safe, lived out your life in peace. Because peace built on silence isn't peace, it's cowardice. And I've been a coward for 41 years. I was done being a coward. You were never a coward. You were scared. There's a difference. Maybe, but fear is a reason, not an excuse. I let fear keep me quiet while 4 people died. While Hardwick built power on blood money. While evil won, I couldn't let it continue. Couldn't let it stand. You're a better person than most. No, I'm just a person who finally did what I should have done 41 years ago. The nurse comes back. That's enough for now. She needs rest. Flint stands. I'll be back tomorrow. Rhett wants to see you when you're up for visitors. Tell him I'm glad he's okay. I will. And Raven, thank you for everything. For Beirut, for Wyatt, for showing me what real courage looks like. Semper Fi Flint. Always faithful. He leaves. I'm alone with the beeping monitor and the pain in my chest and the knowledge that somehow, impossibly, I survived. Again. The next 3 days are a blur of surgery consultations, pain medication, physical therapy assessments, and visitors who seem surprised I'm still breathing. Agent Cole comes. brings flowers, tells me the investigation is expanding. They've found evidence of other deals, other bribes, other crimes. Hardwick's entire empire is collapsing like a house of cards. His defense contracts are being reviewed, his security clearances revoked, his assets frozen pending criminal proceedings. You did this, Cole says. You brought down one of the most corrupt men in the defense industry, exposed a treason that's been covered up for 41 years. I just told the truth. Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes that's everything. Dr. Thatcher comes, brings her final forensic report, 300 pages of detailed analysis. Irrefutable evidence that Senator Gerald Hardwick's fingerprints are on that document, that the document is genuine, that the timeline matches, that everything I said was true. This will stand up in any court, she says. Criminal, congressional, court of public opinion. You have your proof. You have your vindication. Thank you for believing me. Thank you for keeping that document for 41 years. Thank you for having the courage to come forward when it mattered most. Rhett comes, still bruised, still moving carefully, but alive. His eyes are clear now. No drugs, no concussion fog. Just gratitude so deep it makes my chest hurt worse than the bullet wound. Captain, ma'am, I don't know how to thank you. You already did. You held out. You didn't give me up. That took courage. You walked into a trap to save me. That took more. That took everything. We're Marines. We don't leave anyone behind. No, ma'am, we don't. He salutes, sharp, professional, perfect form despite his injuries. I try to return it. Manage about half a salute before pain stops me. He smiles. Don't strain yourself, ma'am. I know you got my back, even lying in a hospital bed. Always. On the 4th day, they move me out of ICU into a regular room. I can sit up now, can eat solid food, can walk to the bathroom with help. Small victories, but victories nonetheless. On the 5th day, the press finds out I'm here. Suddenly there are reporters in the parking lot, news vans blocking the emergency entrance, cameras everywhere. Everyone wants the story. The woman who took down a defense nominee, the hero of Beirut who stayed silent for 41 years, the cafeteria worker who exposed corruption that went all the way to the top. Agent Cole runs interference. No visitors except approved list, no press, no photos, no interviews. I need to heal before I can tell my story, before I can face the world, but the story is already out there. Articles, news segments, op-eds, social media threads that go on for miles. Think pieces about heroism and silence and the cost of speaking truth to power. Captain Reese Calloway, the Raven of Beirut. 73 saves in 73 hours. Shot trying to save number 74. Some people call me a hero. Some call me a whistleblower. Some call me a conspiracy theorist who got lucky. Some call me a troubled veteran who should have stayed in her lane. I don't care what they call me. I know what I am. A Marine who did her duty. Finally, after 41 years of silence and fear and invisible servitude, on the 7th day I get a different kind of visitor. A Marine in dress blues. Young, maybe 30. Captain's bars gleaming on his shoulders,